might actually deliver those promised billions. Faisal Islam, Channel 4 News, St Gallen.
Now, when a company floats on the stock market, you might think profit is paramount. The Facebook founder, Mark Zuckerberg, begs to differ, though. He's told investors his business isn't a traditional corporation, but a social mission. And he's not just interested in the bottom line. Facebook will be no slouch as a business, though. It's revealed it had revenues of $3.7 billion last year, of which $1 billion were profit. Those profits grew by nearly 2/3 in just a year, suggesting Facebook could be a money machine. As a result, it's thought the company will be worth $100 billion when it joins the stock market. Mark Zuckerberg's stake will be worth $28 billion, which would make the 27-year-old the fourth richest person in America. But he tells anyone thinking of buying shares in his business, Facebook wasn't originally created to be a company. It was built to accomplish a social mission, to make the world more open and connected. Zuckerberg does believe in making money, but he also says, these days I think more and more people want to use services from companies that believe in something beyond simply maximising profits. Well, a little earlier, I went along to the University of East London to ask Facebook users if they'd changed their mind about the social networking service because of the flotation. Do you see Facebook as a kind of traditional company like BP or Lloyd's TSB or whatever? Or do you see it as more a kind of service? He says it's about creating happiness and connecting people to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think the general public use it as a communication tool, staying in touch with people. But I think it's kind of starting to become more advertising and stuff is popping up on the sides. And I think that's where he's looking to make his money and stuff.
Do you agree with Mark Zuckerberg's statement that people want companies to be about more than making profits? They want companies to be have a social purpose.
Well, I'd say yeah, because like most companies are primarily like customer focused, and profits are like their secondary thing. Like that's what it's meant to be. And I think having a social focus and on this whole social media thing can be their main focus, and profits can be obviously just to satisfy the capital markets that they're going to enter.
But realistically, any company that's listed on the stock exchange, you'll know this from your studies, the bottom line is what matters, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Investors want their money. Investors do want their money, but at the same time, to compete and for people to continue using Facebook, he's got to provide a good service. So I don't see why he can't provide that.
You agree?
Not really, no, because I think now that there's going to be so many new investors, there's going to be much more changes to Facebook. It's going to change. All these other people are going to be controlling the way people communicate with their friends and family. So I don't see the point why Facebook actually should go on the stock exchange. By doing this, Facebook might lose some customers. I wouldn't say I'm leaving, but I know a lot of people might think their security is going to be a bit their privacy.
Would you leave because of this? Because it's become a kind of big traditional company?
I'm not sure. I might do, because I don't know who will be using my information, my details, for what purposes.
Are you suspicious about Facebook's motives? There's this idea that perhaps they're trying to plunder your personal details. Are you suspicious now?
Definitely, because first of all, Facebook started it's just about networking. You want to meet people, chat with people, and then you get these changes. Like now they've introduced timeline, and they're bringing out a lot of new things. And then all of a sudden, you're hearing that they want to float, they want to go on the stock market. So it kind of there's a concern about trust. You don't know who's going to use your details for what. So
you think Facebook's trying to make money out of you now? Now it's a big company.
That's what it feels like.
Well, I'm joined now by Jessica Powell, a former senior executive at Google, who's now Chief Marketing Officer for the London-based social network Badoo. Now, do you work for a company or a social mission?
I work for a company.
So this idea that a technology company, is a social mission, do you get that at all?
I think it's possible. I do think sometimes in tech we get a little too excited about the idea of social mission. I mean, I go to a lot of conferences where people get up and they are talking about their app and how it's going to change the world, and then you have a moment where you say, wait a second, this is an app to help me log my marathon training runs. This isn't really... There is sometimes a bit of a discourse that's slightly exaggerated in tech, I think, about saving the world.
So yes, so when Mark Zuckerberg says, I'm building value for the world, that's delusions of grandeur, really, isn't it?
No, I mean, I think Facebook has absolutely done a lot in terms of connecting people. Do I think when he was sitting in his dorm room at Harvard that he was thinking about fomenting revolution in the Middle East? Probably not. But certainly things can evolve from the time that you create a tool that's to solve a personal problem, and then it grows from there.
So Badoo is no different from BP or Goldman Sachs. It's about the bottom line.
No, but I think tech companies generally, when you talk to tech entrepreneurs, a lot of times things come out of trying to solve a problem. A lot of times they're about efficiency. Sometimes they can be about something that's a bit bigger. But it's initially about how do you solve a problem? And then from there, the platform, the app, whatever it is, evolves and other kinds of use cases emerge. That's what we've seen with Badoo, from going from a place to meet people to now all kinds of use cases to meet people. I think it's the same thing with Facebook. He started off his problem and it's gone from there.
Do a lot of people in tech companies start out as entrepreneurs and then end up as suits? And is there something a bit depressing about that?
Oh, that would be depressing. But I think a lot of us, I've never worn a suit. I wore a suit once and it was horrible. I think that tech, even when it gets very big, and Google and Facebook are good examples, it still remains quite unique compared to more traditional industries.
But a lot of those students were pretty sceptical that the likes of Facebook, really, they're in it to try and flog our data to advertisers. They've got a point, haven't they?
It's a company at the end of the day. It's a company, and I hope that they do good, and that what they've said in their letter that they've set out, which is pretty ambitious, and that's going to follow them the rest of their time. Certainly in the case of Google, the statement of don't be evil is something that's still quoted today. So I hope they do it, but it is a company.
Jessica Powell, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.
And of course, you can tell us exactly what you think of Facebook's new frontier on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/Channel 4 News.